Hey guys, it's Katrina here again, and I am here today with my March wrap-up. So I am super excited because this month I actually managed to read 13 books. I read 8 young adult fiction, 2 adult fiction, 1 memoir, 1 book of short stories, and 1 novella. In total, that was 4,072 pages, and that's pretty good for me, especially considering just how little I'd been reading the few months beforehand. I'll take you through what I read now. The first book I read was The School for Good and Evil by Sobanciani? No clue if that's how you say this. I enjoyed this book. It was okay. It definitely wasn't my favorite book that I read this month. I expected a lot more out of it. For those of you that don't know, this book is about a school where children go to learn how to become fairy tale characters. There is a school for good and a school for evil, and it's about these 2 girls who get kidnapped by the schoolmaster and end up going to these schools, except the girl that you would have expected to be at the school for good was at the school for evil, and vice versa. I don't know if it was just because this book was a middle grade book and that didn't appeal to me. I wanted to like this book a lot more than I actually did. Then I picked up Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. This one I was super excited about because I have read Fangirl and loved it, and I read Eleanor and Parks and really enjoyed it. So I figured I would try one of Rainbow Rowell's adult fiction books. This one is about a young man who works in the IT department of a newspaper and ends up reading the emails sent between this girl and one of her friends and falls in love with Beth, and it just all kind of follows their stories. I really liked this book. Anything that I read by Rainbow Rowell I have enjoyed, so I am hoping to get my hands on Landline and read it sooner rather than later. So if you watched my April book haul, you know that I just bought the Hunger Games box set. So having just gotten my hands on it, I had to reread The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. As always, I love this book. It was just something that I reread super quickly and basically just did it because I wanted to, not for any other reason than that. Then I read what was definitely my least favorite book this month, and that is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookshop by Robin Sloan. I really wanted to like this book. I kept waiting and waiting for something to happen that was gonna make me enjoy it, and I just never got that moment that made me love it. I don't regret reading it. It just wasn't for me. So after that, I wanted to pick up something that was more of an easy read, so I read Yes Please by Amy Poehler. I am not a huge fan of memoirs. I definitely tend to stick more to fiction, especially young adult fiction, but I enjoyed this. She just has such a style of writing that makes you feel like she's talking to you rather than writing a book. I've also heard that the audiobook of this is fantastic. From there, I went on to The Wicked Will Rise by Danielle Page. This one I also thoroughly enjoyed. I know a lot of people weren't a huge fan of these books. This is the second book in the Dorothy Must Die series. There's another girl from Kansas, Amy Gunn, who gets transported to Oz and has to save the people of Oz from Dorothy, who has become basically an evil dictator. I really liked them. It was a super quick read. I read this book in one sitting. I sat down, I worked at 4 one day, and so I got up early, sat down, was gonna read for a little bit, and finished this book before I went to work. So super easy read for me. Then I read The 100 Day 21 and The 100 Homecoming. I really enjoyed this series. I am now watching the TV show, which is so different. I really like the characters in these ones. For those of you that don't know, this series follows a group of 100 kids who were sent back to Earth. Something happened on Earth, so all humans left and went to space, and were living on a spaceship, and then they sent down these 100 kids who were in lockup for criminal activities, and this kind of follows them. Again, there's been a lot of mixed reviews about these books. I really liked them. I found them quick and easy reads. Then I picked up Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. I didn't enjoy this one as much as Anna and the French Kiss or Lola and the Boy Next Door, but I do really like Josh. It was a toss-up for me because Anna is probably my favorite female character. Cricket is probably my favorite male character, probably just because Cricket reminds me a lot of some of the boys that I have been attracted to or dated in the past. And then Josh just kind of tugs on my heartstrings because you got to know him actually quite well in Anna, and then he comes back, and I'm glad that he got his happily ever after, even though I found Isla fairly annoying. So while I was reading most of these books, I was also working my way through Bobcat and Other Stories by Rebecca Lee. I've talked about this book a couple of times now. It was just a book of short stories. I don't really know if I can say much more than that. It didn't really leave me with any strong emotions, either loving it or hating it. It was just a book of short stories. The next book I read was one that I have been seeing all over BookTube lately, and that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I adored this book. I understand, again, people have been giving it mixed reviews, and I do understand why people have kind of been left with mediocre feelings about it. I was so drawn in by the story and the characters. It was just one of those books that I really grew quite attached to, then grew quite angry with, and just I felt a lot of things reading this book. And there are some characters that I really want to see more of, because while it might not be the most amazing book ever, I do believe it is one that people will enjoy, especially for people that aren't necessarily fantasy lovers, because I'm not a huge fantasy person, but this one has enough of a fantasy contemporary. I am so bad with book descriptions. I just liked it. So then the last actual kind of full book that I read was the Owl Crate book for this month, and that is Everything That Makes You by Moira. I don't know if it's Moira or Mariah McStay. I'm gonna apologize if I actually apologize if I pronounced any author's names wrong. This book, again, made me feel so many things as I was reading it. I was happy for the characters. I was sad for the characters. For those of you that don't know, this book follows Fiona, it follows two versions of Fiona. There's Fiona, who when she was younger got in an accident, ended up with scarring on her face, and then Fee, who the same person but didn't. I don't know if these characters were supposed to be kind of the what if, but for me when I read it, Fiona was the real version and Fee was kind of the what if, I don't want to say imaginary, but she just wasn't as real. I didn't like her story as much. I rooted for Fiona. Fee, I feel bad saying I didn't care for Fee, because awful things happened to Fee as well as happened to Fiona. I just didn't connect with Fee in the same way that I did Fiona. So that's something I want you guys to let me know down below. Did you guys read this book? Did you feel the same way that I did, where Fiona was the real version, or the other way that Fee was maybe the real version, or that maybe, you know, both of them were the same amount of real? I don't know. That's just, that being said, I really did enjoy this book. I was super glad to receive it in my Owl Crate because it wasn't one that I had heard of beforehand. So the last thing I read this month was the novella The Queen from the Selection series. If I'm talented enough, I'll put a picture of it somewhere. I think over here probably. Talented, there'll be a picture here right now. Anyways, it's just, again, short little novella that kind of goes along with the Selection series by Kira Cass. So it was just nice to have a little bit of backstory for Queen Amberly and King Clarkson. Kind of provided a little bit of insight into those characters, but wasn't really something that I needed to understand or to continue to enjoy the Selection. That being said, I'm super excited for The Heir to come out. I am just kind of going to add my TBR pick in the end of this video. I am definitely a mood reader, so I'm not going to create a whole list, but I have my little TBR drawer here. So I'm going to pick one book from here that I need to get through this month, and then the rest will be as I feel like it, because this is what's going to help me read some of the books that I'm maybe less drawn to on my shelf. It's really full. So this month's TBR pick, I actually can't remember who wrote this book. I think it's Delia S. Dawson, but this is one that I just bought, so I'm super excited to have this be my pick for this month. Other than that, I will let you guys know what I'm reading, maybe as I'm reading it, or maybe not till my wrap up at the end of the month. Let me know what you guys read this month. Did you have a good reading month? What are you planning on reading next month? And I will hopefully see you guys soon with another video. Bye!